What is poppin'? Tech Yes citizens, today we are going to go through the Tech Yes Studio in 2021 and have a look at what's changed since the last time I did a studio tour. Now, the biggest thing is I'm still at the same location, but I've added a lot of RGB into the mix. Now, there's a big question that I've been getting asked about OLEDs. And it's like, well, Brian, after using OLEDs as your main drivers, do you have problems? Is the burn-in an issue? So we'll get straight on into that, because this is the biggest change in my entire studio, is that I went from this main setup here, and this is now still like a main setup. We'll talk about that a little bit later. For this here being my main setup, where I'm using two 55-inch OLEDs, and they're both 4K, one being the B7, which is from 2017, and this one here being the CX. Now, I'm going to say, in terms of OLEDs, they are absolutely amazing in terms of viewing angles, colors, and especially this one here, 4K 120 Hertz. But there is one big problem that I'm having with the OLEDs, and that is that they're too addictive. And this is like, you might be sitting there laughing, but this is serious. Like, I sit on these things and I just get lost in playing games like StarCraft 2, which is from like 2009. I just enjoy playing games on the OLEDs too much, to the point where I was thinking of just going back to like 4K 60 Hertz monitors with matte coatings on them and 32-inch, because I think they would be better for me in terms of just not getting distracted so much. Because if you guys didn't know, one of my problems is that I can get addicted to PC gaming, and it's one of those things where it's not healthy. Like, I don't think it's a healthy thing. But anyway, let's continue on with the studio tour. And I will say today's video is sponsored by BZFuture, where they did send out some really cool things. And I thought, like, some of the things I don't like, and we'll be talking about some of the things which I think are not for me, but some of the things like this here, this mouse bungee from MotoSpeed is absolutely amazing. It's a little mouse bungee, but also has a 4-port USB hub and a bit of RGB bling. This is what used to be Darth Jar Jar. I made it work in terms of functionality. So it is a bit of a messy rig. It's definitely not anywhere near as good looking as the synthetic sewer build that we put together. But you maybe notice that I'm using a 6800 XT. And this is one big thing for me, because I wanted to try AMD. For years, I've been using NVIDIA cards on my main workstations. And I'm gonna point out, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm gonna point out the big differences at this point in time for me personally. And that is that the NVIDIA cards with RTX Studio, they do work better in Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the main video editing software I use to edit videos for you guys. But the 6800 XT also has, at least with the OLEDs here, I've been seeing some driver issues. The most annoying one is when I leave my computer, either idling, I'll be watching some YouTube videos while I'm working and the screens will automatically turn off, or I'll just turn them off manually. What happens is it just won't wake up. And I have to like hard reset my PC in order to get the signal out again. So that's a driver issue I'm having with the 6800 XT at this point in time. It is a little bit annoying, but other than that, it has been solid. We've also got 64 gigabytes of RAM and the 18-core 7980XE in this big beast right here, which does a great job for 4K video editing. And we've got more RGB here, we've got some grog, and then we've also got the colo lights. These things are really cool in that you can control them by your smartphone if you want to. You can also manually control them from the back of the card, and they make a really good backdrop, especially when I'm live streaming or doing talking head videos from this setup. These things really make that backdrop come to life. Behind that is some RGB. This is a new addition to the Tech Yes Studio, which you guys say is really popping in the background. So for this, I used Colo Light RGB strips. These are the 5-meter versions. They've also got a 2-meter version, and all up, this will cost you, if you want to get a big backdrop like this with ambient RGB lights, I'm using in total 20 meters of RGB, and you can control that from your smartphone if you want to. You've also got a remote for it, but basically this has a big piece of acrylic and it's diffused, and that essentially allows the RGB light to show up in the background like it does. And I really like this for when it's dark at night too, and you need that ambient lighting behind your monitor if you're using the setup. So that was a really cool addition that we did in terms of also covering up holes from when I was changing. I used to have 2 monitors in the backdrop here, and I've changed that over just now to a single ultra wide, which the monitor has automatically turned itself off. But here we've got the main synthetic sewer. Now, in terms of building something like this right now, especially with the RTX 3080s, they are ridiculously pricey, and who knows when these prices of these graphics cards will come back to normal, because at the moment it's looking like we're either suffering 2 scenarios, and that is either inflation nation, where the prices will just grow into that new norm, or we will see a crash. But either way, something has to give. It's not going to be a smooth sailing line like I've been saying here on the channel. But in the meantime, at this point in time, I wouldn't recommend going out and building an RTX 3080 system unless, of course, you've got huge amounts of cash flow and you can afford that. But I mean, this build right here, I was saving up for a long time to build this thing, and I hooked up with Designs by IFR Corey, and we built this custom PC, and it was absolutely amazing, the whole process. And I think the finished look just shows that Corey's work is on another level, where we called it synthetic sewer. But this is hooked up now to the Corsair K100. This keyboard is insane in that the speed at which the keys actuate is pretty much the best. I did a review on this thing, and it was insane if you're gaming and you want a really fast keyboard for that. And then we've got here the MZ1 Zeiss rail. So one of my really good friends, one of my best friends on the Gold Coast here, Zai, I've known him for a while. We met years ago when we were both doing a collaboration together on YouTube, and we just hit it off, and we're really good friends. And since then, he's been working with Xtrify to design his own mouse, and this is what the product is. This is actually an engineering sample he gifted to me, and I was very grateful. I'm using this on the ultra wide gaming setup, and I absolutely love this mouse. Then this mouse is going to be an absolute winner. I really love what he's done with this thing. I think it's awesome that a YouTuber is designing a mouse, and you can get one of these if you want to support Zai. I'll put the link in the description below. Then we've got right here an RGB headset, which I gotta say, these are extremely comfortable. One of the most comfortable pair of headsets I have ever tried on. The RGB on the sides, I don't know if that's going to be for you or not. If you love RGB, then you're definitely gonna love these headset right here. But surprisingly, the sound imaging on these was extremely good for a closed back headphone, and also the mic wasn't half bad. One thing I will say though is that they are a little bit tinny on the tinny side, but they've also got heavy bass. So if you like that V-shaped EQ profile, then you'll definitely love these. But if you're like me and you prefer a more warmer headphone, then you might want to try something like the L1s. That's my personal favorites. Then moving over here, we've got the test bed setup. This is the Intel side of things, and then we've got the AMD side of things. So for the Intel side, we have the 11900K currently, and this is hooked up. I'm testing out a Z590 Asus ROG motherboard here. But the problem is right now, I've been very slow to do the Z590 coverage, even like having this stuff for a few weeks here. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been really jaded when it comes to doing a lot of this newer stuff. And that of course has to relate to the graphics cards, where you can't really build a new PC right now because you can't really get your hands on a graphics card at a decent price. So a lot of this new stuff, the reason to get it isn't really there. And so I've just been having a really tough time personally seeing the point of reviewing a lot of this newer stuff, where I think the used stuff is a lot more exciting. But in terms of some of the other gadgets right here, I just quickly whacked in some XPG RAM that I got off a deal just to test that it was working. And you can see here, it does work absolutely fine. Though I will say, out of this whole test setup right here, one of my favorite products to date, and easily the best CPU cooler, is the H115i RGB Platinum. This thing, 10 keyless keyboard that BZFuture sent over. Now this keyboard is honestly extremely good. So we're gonna talk about the mouse pad soon, which I actually don't really like, but this keyboard right here is absolutely phenomenal. The build quality, the color scheme, they've also got different color schemes with it, and you've got a magnetic cover, which if you're using this for traveling is gonna save you a lot of hassle. If you wanna clean the keyboard, you just take that off, get rid of the dirt, and then put it back on, and it's gonna be very functional as well in terms of its size and weight. And you've also got the option there to take out the USB Type-C connector to carry this with ease. And the best thing is you've also got optional RGB, which you can then control from the keyboard itself. So very sturdy keyboard. You've got the choice of Cherry MX blues, browns, and reds, and I absolutely love what this keyboard's bringing. Then we've got this mouse pad here from MotoSpeed. Hard surface. I'm not a big fan of hard surface mouse pads. I do prefer, as you can see here around my studio, I've got the cloth, and then also cloth soft style mouse pads. But if you like a hard style mouse pad and you like RGB on a mouse pad, then this is certainly going to be for you. Me personally, I think the RGB on a mouse pad is a little bit annoying because you've got this extra cable now to contend with. And then over here, we've got another product from Dareyu. This is a, I don't know what to say with this one. It feels like a Zowie FK2, I believe. So if you're into a hybrid fingertip sort of palm grip sort of grip there, and you like a low button height, then this mouse is definitely going to be great for FPS. Very good mouse, very good shape, and the build quality on this thing is extremely good. So if you're looking for an alternative to an FK2, then this mouse is definitely going to. Anyhow, we got the desk here. I added in RGB lighting to this desk, and that's been really good actually, because it's got a little lip here that comes out of the desk. So whenever I'm building PCs, and we've got 2 builds in progress at the moment, whenever I'm building PCs and screws get to the edge, they don't fall off the table. So that's one really good benefit of this RGB lighting. Plus it provides a good sort of extra element for when I'm shooting photos of the builds before I flip them. And so that's a new addition. We've also got this 360 Hertz monitor here, which Asus sent in, and I use it all the time for testing. It's really good for testing system input latency and doing other tests because it has an inbuilt latency module inside. But this monitor right here being 360 Hertz, it isn't cheap by any means. Though speaking of cheap, this LED lighting here, it was pretty cheap to add in. I think I spent $80 in total getting this done with a 5-meter strip. So other tools new to the Tech Yes Studio if you're into fitness. One of these things here, I got this for 30 Aussie dollars. I absolutely love this thing. It's like one of those sit-up support things. And when I first saw this thing, I thought it was a gimmick, but then I tried and I was like, damn, that really gets the abs working. So can really recommend one of these as opposed to a lot of that other stuff you see on fitness channels and stuff. A lot of it's gimmicky, but then we've got the weights there for just sometimes I do a bit of it. I haven't been doing weight training as much as I'd like to. I will get back into that soon. Then we've got the new setups here where I got this desk on sale on the used market for $30, and it's a clear sort of glossy desk. It was pretty much like brand new, and I've been using this set here for B-roll, where I got these from the local hardware store. They were just some floor tiles, and I was like, well, they're gonna look pretty cool as a backdrop. So decided to make this a new little set for filming smaller products, not so much builds, but individual products like you see here. And all up, this costs like, I think $50, $60. So for the backdrop and for the little table. But I also decided to add in a little light here, which I got for 10 bucks from IKEA. And that sort of just adds a little bit of spice to this whole set right here. Then we've got another set which I put together, but I found myself using this one if you're getting the set all set up for whatever you're filming. In this case, it's a used banger that we're gonna be putting up on good old Gametree. Anyway, sitting down now, summing up the studio tour, I've also got some cool little tips, and that is if you want some cool coasters for your drinks, then you can pull them out of broken hard drives. This right here is a 1 terabyte platter, and I also managed to pull out some really strong magnets out of those hard drives as well. Anyhow, guys, with the studio right now, I'm sort of at that point where I don't know if I should change back to 4K 60 Hertz monitors or keep going on the OLED, because I do want to get more productive and stop being sidetracked for gaming. I think that's the main conflict I've been having with myself lately, and I've been learning to get over that because in December, halfway through December, Cyberpunk came through and I binged through that. Then I started playing StarCraft 2 and Dota 2, and that was just, I still play some StarCraft 2 and it's so enjoyable on the OLEDs to the point where I've got to cap my addiction, and sort of like the OLED feeds that. So I don't know if you guys have had similar problems where you get addicted to video games, but it's one sort of Achilles heel that I know is up with myself, and I don't mind talking about it publicly, and I just want to get back onto being, you guys want me to get back to being as well, hitting up the gym more and being buff yes city and going out and getting more deals. That's the verdict that a lot of people are telling me. So I'll get back to that in the next couple of months And in the meantime, I may change out those OLEDs for, as I said, for the more boring monitors. I think that's a big sort of personal goal of mine. But I mean, that in ways is a testament to how good the OLEDs are. It's just an unexpected thing that's come out of it in the last few months for me personally. But speaking of everything else around the studio here, it's mainly like lighting, RGB, and cool little gadgets that I've added into the studio since the last time. And with that aside, if you guys want to know anything more about the Tech Yes Studio and stuff that we use here behind the scenes, but be sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. I'll put all the stuff and prices that I can find for all this stuff in the description below as well. So if you want to check out some of the cool things that we featured here today, and if it's a decent price, then I'll drop it below. If it's a ripoff, I'll just leave it out.